it's bold, cutthroat, and it's a boss ass move.
Protecting your energy is one of the most important things to do in the world.
Your value that you bring to the table.
Savage. I feel like my answer is just always savage. Failure is the pathway to success. I'll say it again. You can tattoo it on your arm. You can write it on the wall. Failure is the pathway to success.
Welcome back to the True Talk podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Jenna Stakis. And you know, we keep it real, we keep it raw, and we keep it always true to ourselves. So today, I have one of the realest people ever. She is an incredible person, somebody who is expecting, and I'm so happy I can say that. You're going to be an incredible mama, and we'll get into that. But someone who embodies that true entrepreneurial mindset is all about empowering others. So we have the one, the only business savage in the house today. Welcome to the show.
Amazing. So stoked to be here. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to get into this. So, Cassandra, if you can, give us a little spiel about who you are.
Yeah. Cassandra's a Canadian. The Canadian that's living down now in the States. I always like to say that because I feel like people, when they find out I'm Canadian, it's always a conversation starter. So Canada, living down in the States, grew up a competitive hockey player, boys hockey my entire life. A lot of the intensity that you'll find that is in my content and is in my energy comes from that. And I ended up going to school for professional sports, working in the sports industry for sport business management. Absolutely hated my life, stuck in this job that was 9 to 5 that everybody else wanted, but I was miserable, which I know we'll probably get into that story. And so I did one of the scariest things that most people won't ever do. And I took a leap and I started my own business. 19 years old, I started a beauty business, built it to a 7-figure business, lots of ups and lots of downs along the way, which I'm more than happy to share all of those successes and quote unquote failures, which led me to starting my next business during COVID, coaching business. And now I have the opportunity to help people really discover their brand, discover their voice, how to use their voice to amplify their brand and their message. I run spiritual retreats all over the world. I found the love of my life, and I've got my first little baby boy on the way in the end of July.
I love it. I'm so
Cole's notes version.
I'm literally fangirling right now. It is so exciting to have you on here. I've followed you for a little while now. I've listened to your podcast, the Business Savage podcast. And I just love your brand. Being that I'm also in marketing, I see the attention to detail and I see, your voice coming out in it. And I love it. I love the fun, the fierceness of it. It's amazing. So we're going to get into all of that, but we're going to play a little game real quick. And it is called Savage or Soft.
Love.
I thought you would. would, So I am going to give you questions. It's just going to be 3 questions. And you are going to say whether it is savage, being that it's bold, cutthroat, and it's a boss ass move, or it's soft and it's more chill, play it safe, let it slide type of deal. You ready?
Ready.
Raising prices even if clients complain.
Savage. Yeah. Oh, that's a whole conversation. I think you should always be raising your prices. It's not about clients complaining at all. It's about understanding your value. And as your value grows and your expertise grows, in order for your business to grow, there's only a few ways that we can do that. And one of them is to raise our prices, but also increase the value in the process. The clients that complain will lose in the process, but those aren't the ones that are meant to be there for the next stage of our journey.
Said it beautifully.
Yeah.
That was perfect. I know I've had trouble with that, especially now getting into that 2-year mark, almost 3 years of being in business and having a lot more under my belt of experience, and to be able to back up my expertise and be like, no, I do stand by this price because I know I can provide you this type of value and I can help your business, So, nobody ever likes talking about money. Right? That's always the, ooh, but you have to, just like you said, it's your value that you bring to the table.
Yeah. Like I said, that could be an entire conversation on its own. So the only thing I'll really say to that is when you truly know, feel, and embody your own value, it's robbery to yourself and an injustice to the value that you bring to your clients to not. It almost feels just, I would show up at a completely different level if I was charging the prices I charged when I began, because the person that I've become, the knowledge that I have, and the way that I can change my clients' lives, and it's the same for you, it is worthy of that premium pricing.
Yes. So. Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Blocking someone after one bad vibe.
In terms of what? Like in person? In person, they gave you a bad vibe?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to say savage. What I mean by that is I think protecting your energy is one of the most important things to do in the world. I think that most people don't know how to do it. And I think that most people are people pleasers, and they'll continue to say yes and ignore all of the red flags and all of the signs that they should be removing themselves from a situation. I'm pretty cutthroat when it comes to like it being a hard no. And so when you said one bad experience, it depends on the extensity of that experience. Right. If it was a pretty like true colors that they're showing and it's just like, I'm so unaligned with that, you're gone. Like it's a hard, you're gone out of my life, versus if it was like, well, that was a slip of character. Let me lean in and just be mindful of where this is going. So I would say savage to do it maybe right off the cuff.
Okay. Taking weekends completely off as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm still going to say savage. I feel like my answer is just always savage. But I mean that in terms of like having the courage and the bravery to have set your business up to a place where you're able to do that. I actually think that those who have to work on weekends because they don't have the systems, the team, or the tools in place to live that time freedom, those are the ones that I think haven't gotten to a place where their business is actually operating without them being on that hamster wheel. I work on weekends because I love it. I love every second of it. And so if I'm wanting to do something, wanting to write a podcast episode, wanting to write a keynote speech, wanting to create some content, I can, but I don't have to. Right. And so I actually would prefer to see people able to put down their computers and be present with their family and friends and enjoying life on weekends if they've set those systems up for themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's difficult to do in the beginning if you are trying to figure it out. I know for me, being that I kind of have my hand in so many different things, being that it's the marketing, it's the photography, it's the podcast, and then having my other jobs, training and nannying during the week. The weekend is my time to kind of play catch up and stuff, but it's okay because I love what I do, Right. So, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for playing Savage or Soft.
Of course, that's fun.
Let's get into more about you and the business Savage and who you are. So I'm curious, what sparked your passion for business and branding to go into this journey of, I've seen your videos. You travel all over to help these huge CEOs build their brands and really bring their voice out and stuff. What drove you to that?
Yeah. To take a bit of a heartbeat step back, I grew up with an entrepreneur father and an entrepreneur uncle. So I think like really seeing that the potential of that number that shows up on your quote unquote paycheck, the ability to make that number for yourself and not have anybody else dictate what that looks like for you. It was something that was literally ingrained in me from being born. Like I grew up seeing that. I grew up seeing that if I wanted something, if I worked really hard and created something, I could have it. I didn't have to be a doctor or a lawyer or all of these fancy things. And so like, I just want to, kind of plant that seed as I give my answer, because I also understand and am very aware that not a lot of people grow up with that conditioning. And so they were very much told to have safety, to have a 9 to 5. Whereas I live my life on the edge. I live my life taking risks. If I'm not taking big risks, I feel like I'm stuck and something's not quite right. If I have this huge safety net, of course, from the masculine and feminine energy dynamics, we love safety. But at the same time, I'm like, there's got to be a little bit of risk still in my life somewhere. And so as I started in the industry of business coaching, I actually started helping female beauty business owners. That's what I had done. And so that was the very quick, easy transition. And it was only a couple months in that I realized that my gifts and my skills were so much more applicable to every business owner, men and women, and all different industries, as opposed to just helping them with the systems and the structures and the team of scaling a beauty business. And so I did some really deep personal development. I went off the deep end with plant medicine, retreats, spiritual development, my faith with God, and really understanding who I am, what my purpose is, and what I'm here to do. The word that kept coming through and in every way, shape, and form was voice, 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 voice. I just kept on hearing God say, use your voice, use your voice. And so the more I started speaking, literally using my voice and discovering what that message was for me, the more I realized other entrepreneurs, from beginners through to incredibly wealthy, high-level CEOs that I have an opportunity to work with now, they still have this one common problem. I don't want to help you with your systems. I don't want to help you with all of these other things, because this person and this person are at completely different levels. But this person up here and this person down here still have one similar problem. And it's understanding and using the power of their voice to, maybe it's up here, you're training a team or you're leading workshops or you're at a really high level. And down here, maybe it's you're just trying to create a reel and you're just trying to understand, what is my message? What do I want to say on camera? And I realized I'm really freaking good at that. I'm really good at it. And I want to be able to help people with a specific skill that if they can crank that dial, it will radically change their business and their lives. And so I started getting into voice coaching, visibility coaching, brand coaching, and understanding, like, who are you? What is your goal in business? And who are we speaking to? And how can I help you take your voice and your message and amplify everything that you're doing? And when I started diving into that and I started seeing the success that came, not even just in their business, but also in their personal life, when they learn how to communicate and all of the mindset and energetics that go behind that, well, why aren't you speaking your truth? Why aren't you communicating how you feel? Why are you people pleasing? Why aren't you saying the things that you actually want to say? And it's usually because they don't know how. And sometimes they don't know what to say and they don't even know what their message is. And so there was just it was almost like God was leaving these breadcrumbs for me. And I just kept on being aware enough to follow them. And that's what's led me down this path and into what I like to call true alignment.
Wow. I've heard you talk about this before I believe it was an Instagram reel, or it may have been in one of your podcast episodes, but how fluid you speak, like how it just comes off the tongue. There's no ums, there's no but, there's no stuttering, there's no pauses. Everything just kind of comes out. And it's truly a gift, because you are so in tune and aligned with your purpose and with your passion and what God wants you to be doing on this earth. It's amazing to listen to and to watch and to be present for it, truthfully.
Thank you. And I want to say to that as well, to the person who's listening to that, who thinks I could never be that, or I could never speak that way, or I sound silly, I and I I don't know how to communicate on camera, XYZ. That used to be me. My biggest fear growing up was public speaking. And so I promise you, it is a skill. There's a lot of fear in the way. Most of the time, it's just not having the confidence in what your message is. And that's where the ums and the ahs and the stuttering comes into place. With practice and with repetition. And that's what I coach on, right? In my Voices of Impact program, I teach people how to become powerful, engaging, confident communicators.
Perfect. Literally perfect. Okay, let's talk about the Business Savage mindset. That is your brand. I love it. Like I said, it's fierce, it's powerful, it's everything you are in your brand. How do you, Cassandra, define the Business Savage mindset?
Yeah, I love being asked this question because I think it actually is so much deeper than people realize or maybe perceive, which is the beauty and duality of a name like Savage. Traditionally, someone will hear the name Savage and think that it's supposed to be intense and, you know, she's a boss babe and all of these types of things. Of course, I do have that side to me. I do have intensity. I do have drive. I will put you in your place. But more than anything, a Savage mindset really is about a true balance of masculine and feminine. It's knowing when to grind, and it's knowing equally when to stop grinding. It's knowing when to stand up for yourself and when to support. It's knowing when to hire a new team and delegate so that you can have your weekends off. A Savage mindset is about being able to get knocked down and having the tools and the mindset to get yourself back up. It happens in every facet of life, whether it be business, relationships, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm going through a lot of physical changes in my body right now. It's very easy for me to talk negatively to myself about what's happening in my body. But to be able to have the mindset to continuously choose to get back up, choose to see a growth mindset, choose to see opportunity versus victimhood, that's what a savage really is all about. It's making the difficult decisions. I feel like the direction that you end up in life is just made up of a whole bunch of decisions that you get to make. That's all it really is. And it's either sometimes decisions or actually not making decisions at all. And so a savage is that person who can look fear dead in the eye and say, hey, I see you. I know you're there. Give it a little wink and say, you can come for this journey with me, but this is where I'm going. And this is where I'm headed, despite all of the fear and all of the limiting beliefs and everyone that's going to tell me I can't do this, can't be a mom and be a successful entrepreneur. Watch me. And so that savage energy is doing that, but not necessarily having to boast about it. It's moving strategically, moving with confidence, moving with a feminine energy that actually has more power than your masculine, and really stepping into everything that's on the other side of what you're most afraid of.
I love that.
This episode is brought to you by MVP Protein. Looking for the perfect protein bar with clean ingredients and amazing taste? MVP protein bars have you covered. Made with organic dates for natural sweetness and all natural nut butters. Each bar delivers the perfect combo of protein, fiber, and sustainable energy. No added sugar, just real fuel. MVP Protein, the complete package, because there's an MVP in all of us. Check them out at MVP Protein on Instagram or visit www.mvpprotein.com and use my code Jenna at checkout for 15% off your entire order.
The one of my past guests, Corey Gray, he had said that failure is really not a bad thing. It's not negative. It's not that negative connotation that people think where it's so hard. It's you failed. It's this horrible, powerful energy to it. And I'm curious to what your view is on failure, quote unquote.
Yeah. Failure is the pathway to success.
Yes.
For anyone who needs to hear that again, I'll say it again. You can tattoo it on your arm. You can write it on the wall. Failure is the pathway to success. There is no such thing as perfection. Perfectionism is a form of procrastination. The person who is waiting for the perfect time, the perfect partner, the perfect plan, the perfect business, waiting for things to fall into their lap because they're scared of failure. I get it. One of my keynote speeches about overcoming fear, and the fear of failure is arguably one of the most common fears that entrepreneurs and people in general experience. It's the reason we don't ask that person out and we watch them get married to someone else and think, dang, I should have just asked them out. It's the reason why we don't go to the event. And even though there was an opportunity that God wanted us to meet, but we were too scared to go to that event. Fear surrounds us every single day. And it's because of the fear of failure. We're scared that it won't be enough. We're scared that we might lose money. We're scared that people won't book us. We're scared that we'll put out a reel and 2 people will like it and that looks embarrassing. It's like, dang, the faster you quote unquote fail, because let me correct you, there's actually no such thing as failure if you don't stop. All it is it's like a boulder in the way that you're like, okay, that didn't work. Like, how am I going to move around this? Yep. And the analogy I really like to give with this, because I do a lot of spiritual coaching, is I'll bring in masculine and feminine energy, and it's that dynamic of a river. And if you think of how beautifully and how powerfully and how effortlessly a river will flow, the elegance in the feminine power and strength of that river, she is so determined to get where she's going. But there's boulders and there's rocks and there's sticks and there's fish and there's all kinds of things that will just pop up in her way. And they could easily stop her, but she's so committed to that journey of where she's headed that she's fluid and she'll just flow right around it. And she's like, that didn't work. That's not the path. Let's take a new direction. And so I like to look at failure almost as the exact same way. It's something in your way that taught you, okay, that wasn't working. How do I pivot? And truthfully, every billionaire I've ever met, family, friends, some clients I've worked with, they've all said to me, oh, I welcome it, because the faster I can figure out what's not working and what isn't the path, the faster I can figure out what is the path. Think about it from a relationship perspective. You got to kiss a lot of frogs to find your prince. Well, the faster I kiss all those dang frogs, the faster I'm going to find my prince.
Right.
Like, don't worry about going on a bad date that didn't work out. Oh, this sucks. He wasn't my person. Great. He wasn't your person. You're one step closer to finding the one.
I love that. Yeah. So I've heard before, and I do believe it, that like you said, we'll use the example of there was an event and there was an opportunity there that God wanted us to have in front of us and have that interaction, but we didn't go to the event. Although we didn't make that choice, it's not like that opportunity is now gone into the oblivion and that's it. You lost your chance. I believe that, okay, maybe you lost that opportunity, but he will present it to you in another facet, in another interaction, another place. What's your view on that?
I believe that some people wish that there was a brochure to their life that God could hand them and that they would be like, oh, so this is where I'm going to meet my person. This is how I'm going to find my job. This is what I'm going to get married. This is when I'm going to get pregnant. This is where I'm going to live. We want this brochure, whatever your faith is. Mine's God, whatever your faith is. And I believe that that is there. I don't believe that we know what it is. I believe that it is there, but I believe that it is only there if you make the decision to take it. And so he can present you with an opportunity of being at a networking event. There's a person there you're supposed to connect with, and that's supposed to be divine, but you're too scared to go to the event, so you stay home. Okay, you made that decision not to go. I do believe that God will provide you opportunities, but what I would love for the listener to take away from this piece is you have to be aware enough that those opportunities are in front of you, and you have to be courageous enough to take them. The person who will ask for patience, I ask for patience, I ask for patience, I ask for patience, God's going to show you patience. And it may not look like this beautiful little package with a bow on top that you were expecting. And so when he gives you the opportunity to develop your patience, you're like, why is this happening? All of these things. And then all of a sudden, when you're aware enough, it's like, oh, because I asked for patience. And so I think to kind of sum that all up, it's about having the awareness of the ways that these opportunities, when one door opens, one door closes type of mentality, truthfully. How is he moving in your life, and how can you be really aware of it? And if you made the decision to not go that night, guys, I suffer from severe anxiety and panic attack disorder for most of my life. And now I know how to control it. But those thoughts used to cripple me to cry on the floor before I could go to an event. Now I'm a public speaker speaking in front of thousands of people because I've learned how to overcome it. But I've been the one who was too scared to go to the event and then cried because of the people I heard that were there and I didn't have an opportunity to meet them. Well, we get to create our destiny. It's a series of decisions that we get to make. Those opportunities will come up again. Maybe not that specific one, maybe, but it's really up to you to have the courage and to make the decisions to determine the direction of your life.
I couldn't agree more. And when you were speaking on that, and more specifically saying how it's not going to show up in a box with a bow and be tied perfectly and hand delivered to your doorstep. A quick little story time. About 3.5 weeks ago, maybe 4 now, really bad windstorm here in Maryland, and a tree fell on my car, totaled it. 2017 Volkswagen, first car I ever bought, was $1,100 from paying it off completely and outright owning it. And I was so excited and so proud that I had made this huge purchase, like it was an accomplishment that I've come this far and I was able to make all these payments monthly and pay off the car. Tree falls on it and I'm like speechless. My stomach went to the floor when I saw my car. And then dealing with the insurance company and sharing a car with my mom for a week, then having to get a rental car. And all in that process, I'm trying to find a car. Right? I'm car shopping now and I could not find anything. And I was like, I need a car. And I'm like always trying to rush things. And I have asked God to give me patience and grant me patience and grant me more like peace and stuff like that. And I was trying to rush the car buying process. And once I finally just take a back seat and believe that, everything's going to come in the timing it's supposed to, I found the most perfect car for me. All the other ones don't even amount to it. And so that's what came to my mind immediately, is that was my gift of peace. Like that was the box with the bow on the doorstep being like, here, Jenna, now learn how to be patient, like just be with it, go with the flow.
Yeah, it's a sense of surrender that at some point we need to have. And again, whatever somebody's faith is, like, you know, mine obviously is God. It's a unwavering knowing is how I like to describe it. It is literally ingrained in the cells of my body that I know that he's got me. And so it may not look great. Having a tree fall in your car is not something I would ask for. Right. Or anything difficult that happens in your life that isn't ideal. It's not something you would ask for, but it's his plan. It's not mine. And there's a beautiful lesson. There's an opportunity. And when we truly are trying to do the deep work, which I've been diving so deep into for the last 5 years of my life, I asked God for a conscious, deep, emotionally intelligent man that could help me with all of my traumas and help me overcome the things that I'd experienced growing up in my life and my definition of love, and truly be that equal partner. Well, he gave him to me, and it has not been easy. It's been one of the most difficult things I've ever experienced in my life, but I asked for this. I asked for all of it. And it's so unbelievably beautiful when you get to the other side. And I truly have evolved as a partner, which I never would have in past relationships. And so I think the lesson there is really just to pay attention to there's beauty in the good and there's beauty in the bad. Right. And so everything that happens in your life that isn't ideal. Okay. All right. Like, what would water do in this situation? How do we be fluid and how do we move around it?
I love that. Yeah. I got chills when you said that you asked for that man and he brought you that man. It's beautiful. Last question I want to ask you for this part. Through entrepreneurship, we learn a lot of lessons. Some come the easy way and some come the hard way. I know a lot of mine come the hard way.
This episode is brought to you by the Deck Guys, your go-to crew for custom decks that bring your outdoor space to life. From full deck builds to frame redecking, the Deck Guys bring craftsmanship and quality to every project. Whether you're dreaming of a cozy backyard hangout or an elevated entertainment space, they've got you covered. Follow at the Deck Guys Michigan on Instagram, or visit them at www.thedeckguys.info and schedule your free estimate today. The Deck Guys, built to last, designed to impress.
But what's one lesson that you learned the hard way throughout your entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah, I have a lot. The biggest one, I'll give you two, but the biggest one that comes to mind is from a long time ago. It's more of a tangible one that I think people could potentially relate to because it's also a fear in business. And it was getting into a lawsuit. And so to make a very long story short, the biggest lesson through that was how, I think having awareness is such a powerful tool for entrepreneurs to have. And in that time, you're served with a lawsuit and it's screw her, this is her fault. How do I stop this from happening? How do I protect myself? This is her fault, not mine. And when looking back on about 7-8 years ago, that happened. And the woman that I am today with the awareness that I have today versus that little girl, I'm going to call her, experienced that lawsuit. It's like, how can I take radical ownership over every single thing that happens in my life, whether it happens to me or it happens with me? And so the lawsuit, it was served on my desk and she was upset about something. It was in the beauty industry. I had tattooed her and it left scars on her, to give some context. And so I'm blaming her. And how often are we doing that in our lives? How often are we putting 100% ownership on somebody else? It's their fault. But really, if we talk about duality and we talk about chaos and peace, and we talk about ebbs and flows, there's two people in every situation. And so she was perceiving it one way and she experienced it one way, but I had a part in that. Whether I believe that her experience is valid or not, I had a piece of that. And so the biggest lesson through that was that I need to take radical ownership over the things that I can control. And I don't know how people are always going to perceive me, but I can control how I perceive myself. And I can take radical ownership over my part in each situation, whether it be a conversation, whether it be a major lawsuit. Well, what was my part? And how can I be better? Now that I've had this experience, how can I make sure that this doesn't happen again in the future? Because that wasn't ideal. and I don't feel good about it. And she didn't feel good about it. So how can I make sure that moving forward, this doesn't happen again? And then the smaller one that's really recent in my life, I won't go down the rabbit hole of the story because it is actually its own podcast episode. It's a very long story, but to make a long story short, God dangled an incredibly large amount of money in front of my face. And it was an opportunity that I thought he was gifting to me. A lot of money, like life-changing money. And I dipped my toe in, I took the bait, I dipped my toe in, and I started experiencing this opportunity. And because I'm very aware now, there was physical signs from my body that it was unaligned. And I was battling with life-changing money and alignment. And at the end of the day, time freedom and choosing a life that is in alignment with you is always going to be more important to me than any amount of money. I don't care how life-changing it is. I would rather not have that, but live in alignment and live with confidence in how I'm moving in my life and the freedom that I've created for my life. And so that was a lesson that I learned recently, that I'm really good at listening to my intuition now, really good at making decisions now that are in alignment, even when they're difficult, like turning down millions of dollars.
Yeah. That having that intuition, having that connection with your body and really understanding how your body responds. It's not, some people don't understand. It's not like you are gonna see this like red sign in front of you that's like stop. No, it's your body is going to start breaking down almost like it's giving you the signs. It's telling you by showing you that you're having back pain, that you're having neck pain out of nowhere, your ears ringing, your ear hurts, your throat hurts, stuff like that. I mean, for me, I battled some sort of autoimmune disease for about 3 years. And I was misdiagnosed with MS. And I had the hand tremors, I had a voice tremor, I had all these symptoms. And it came on after one of the most stressful points in my life, after being in a very toxic relationship where it was constant fighting for a year. And then I lost my grandfather, and then it was like my body just shut down. That's why I refuse to believe the doctors when they're like, you need medicine to get better and stuff. Well, I do believe that's true for certain things, but you're going to tell me my body shut down because of all the stress and stuff that kind of like triggered it. And, you know, whatever this was, it was lying dormant, and then the stress triggered it. You can't tell me that my body can't heal itself back to health without medicine. It's not true. I don't believe that. So, and a year later, boom, back to normal. So it's amazing to be able to really understand your body and listen to your intuition. It's powerful.
And it's a skill, and it does take time. Because I have people, I can guarantee you, even after this episode, you're going to get a message like, okay, well, like, is there a pill for that? Or like, is there one podcast I can listen to and then I'll know how to do that? Or like, what do I do? Like, where do I sign up for that? It's a lot of work. The Body Keeps the Score is a great book. It's a great place to start for someone who wants to learn a little bit more about that. But ultimately, like I bring things back to relationships a lot, because your body truly does speak to you. When we're in an unhealthy relationship and we know we need to leave that relationship, but we stay. And then like all of these other things kind of start to go wrong in your life. And you're like, what's going on? Why are all these other things happening in my life? But then when we make that decision, that is the root decision, that we are ignoring that internal knowing, we're ignoring the signs that our body is telling us, then all of a sudden those things all start to clear up. And so that's kind of the best way that I can really describe it, is to also just echo the opportunity was phenomenal. The business is phenomenal that I turned down. The man who's running it is a dear friend of mine. What he's doing is incredible. It just was pulling me away from my life mission. And that's what I mean by pulling me away from alignment. Is God wanted me to do something on this planet, and I was getting distracted by a shiny paycheck over here to help somebody else build their empire. It was taking me away from my purpose and my mission. And he was screaming, God was screaming at me like, this is your path, and I got to get you to see and come back to this. Do you have the courage to take a chance on yourself, knowing that this is your purpose? It's not about money. It's about living in alignment. Why did God put you on this earth? Like, what are you here to do?
Yes. Do you believe from, I want to say the first time I ever asked my mom that question, I was like 6 or 7 years old, I would go up to her and I'd be like, Mommy, why am I here? Why am I me? And she was like, Jenna, like, you're my baby girl. Like you're my daughter. God put you here in our family. And it wouldn't sit with me. I'm like, no, but why am I here? Why am I me? Why am I in this family? Like it was always a why. And no joke, from that young, year after year, I would ask that. And I think about that little girl now, and I get emotional thinking about it. And it's like, wow, God really had this beautiful journey set out for me from such a young age. So it's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, we can't go down that rabbit hole because it's so long, but I do think that you actually choose your parents. Like this little boy in my belly right now, his soul chose me. And there's a reason why I'm carrying him. And a lot of people don't understand that, or they don't think about it like that. They think I'm really woo-woo, and that's cool. Like that, this is my belief. It's my belief that he's been put and he's chosen to come back into my life because there's something that he's here to do that I'm going to be a catalyst in helping him do. Same for me in my life. Like I chose my mom and dad for a reason, right? And there's so many lessons. And I think that you get put here with these like puzzle pieces that you get to figure out. And then when you do fulfill your life purpose, that's when there's true alignment. And that's when we go to heaven. And I just think that a lot of people don't ever, unfortunately, have the opportunity of figuring that out.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Wow. What an incredible segment right there. Is so much in that. We're going to go to another game. Are you ready? We're going to lighten up the mood a little bit.
So we are going to play True or Troll, and I'm going to play with you. It's going to be common business advice, and we're going to say whether it's true, it's solid, good advice, or it's troll, it's overhyped, nonsense. Okay?
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do it.
You need to wake up at 5 a.m. to be successful. You go.
Troll. 100% troll. I do wake up at 5 a.m.
How do you wake up?
Yeah. A change in lifestyle. I go to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock every night, no phones, all blah, 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 blah. There's a million ways to help support you in doing that. However, it is absolutely true that you have to do that to be successful. My partner and I are on pretty opposite schedules. He likes to grind. His energy is high and he's creative at night, and he likes to grind till 2, 3 in the morning. And then he comes to bed and he sleeps a lot later than I do because I'm fresh and firing at 5 a.m. He's incredibly successful. So that's troll. You don't have to. I know that a lot of successful entrepreneurs have these habits of getting up early. And I do think that there's a lot of benefit to that. And I happen to live that way, but you don't have to in order to be successful.
You know what? That makes me feel so much better because I'm trying to train my body to be a morning person, and it's not happening. Like, guys, I've been trying. I really have.
And it's about optimizing your energy and your time is what I would say is more important than what time of day that happens to be for you. I can tell you that the most successful entrepreneurs I know happen to have the habit of getting up early and working out first thing in the morning. And there's a lot of reasons scientifically and benefits to doing that. However, I know many people who don't have that lifestyle and habit who are very successful. So it's not necessary to be successful.
Okay, I agree. So we're going to go with troll. All right.
Troll.
I feel like I know your answer for this, and I'm going to say the same. You should say yes to every opportunity in the beginning.
Troll.
Flag, wave that thing in the air.
Yeah. And I like that you said in the beginning, because I do understand the dynamic of it being very different when you're in the beginning versus where I'm at in my career now, and how you do want to have more of a yes mindset to seeing opportunities and trying things out. I do agree with that. However, I do strongly still believe in you protecting your energetic boundaries. And there are a lot of things that will come your way that if you're in tune enough and smart enough to understand, just because you're trying to connect and trying to network and trying to learn doesn't mean that every single opportunity is in alignment for you. And so it is a skill that I have now that I wish I had when I started. I would have saved myself a lot of energy and a lot of heartache, recognizing signs of things that were unaligned. I don't believe you should be saying yes to every opportunity.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the lessons I learned in the beginning of it. It doesn't matter. Your clients will come. You just have to focus on putting out a good product, putting out a good brand, having that value, and those good clients and those good customers will come. You do not have to say yes to everything, because that you're going to burn out. They might just drive you into the ground.
Yeah. It also steals your power, which that's a whole conversation on its own, but it also takes your power from you. When you're living in alignment, even to the person who's pretty early in their career who's listening to this, and you say, this is what my ideal client looks like. This is how they act. This is the energy they embody. This is how they treat me. This is how they show up for when we work together. This is whatever it is. And you kind of set that like energetic standard for yourself, you will attract, because you will raise to the level to become this type of person. You will attract those types of clients into your life. Versus when anyone reaches out and you're like, yes, and I'll lower my prices for you, and I'll stay up till midnight for you, and I'll answer your phone call at 2 a.m, and I'll drop all of these things to bend over backwards for you. You are literally giving away your power, and you're saying, this is my standard, but I'm going to lower it because I have such a scarce mindset that I only believe that I'm worthy of this. And so when we only energetically believe that we're worthy of this, well, guess what type of clientele we attract? Guess what type of problems we attract? And how hard is it for you to then elevate back up to that boundary and that standard that you wanted to live your life in? So that's to kind of give a bit of context to that. It's very important to set those boundaries.
Yes. All right, last one. This is going to be another one. If you're not making 6 figures in your first year, you're doing something wrong.
I'm actually going to say true.
What?
I'm actually going to say true. I think that there's no reason why within your first year of business, you shouldn't be making 6 figures.
Oh, no, I agree. But I don't think
Okay.
if you don't make 6 figures that you're doing something wrong.
But I don't know if it's wrong, but I think that anyone in business should be making 6 figures in their first year. If you're doing all of the right steps and following it properly, there's no reason why you can't make that. Yeah. There's full-time and there's part-time. Like there's some people who it's like a side passion and side hobby, and they're still in a 9 to 5 and yada, yada, yada. So maybe that's a little bit different, but to get it growing, I can help someone build 6 figures in a month. So like, I don't care what your business is. If you want to listen and you want to follow and you want to put in the work and you want to build the systems and do it the right way, there's no reason why you can't be super successful in a year of your business. It's about doing it the right way and putting in the right habits and putting in the right patterns and the right systems. The problem is, the biggest problem truly is that most people, they don't know that GPS direction. If we're trying to go somewhere in a car, we punch in the direction, it'll tell us what turns to make. They don't know where they're going. And so their site is set on not necessarily just the 6 figures. Most people are like, I'm going to make 6 figures, but they have no freaking idea the turns to make to help them get there. And so having someone who has done what you're trying to do, like in your industry, has done the thing you're trying to do, and have them paint that way for you, there's no reason why you can't make six figures. Everyone listening, that's a different amount of money to them. To me, it's not a lot of money. And so to be able to make that in a year is very easy and very doable if you follow the right steps and have the right mindset. Most people don't think that that's possible. We've got money mindset beliefs in the way, that they think that they're not worthy of that type of money. They didn't grow up from that. There's a bajillion things that come into play that will actually stop us and keep us self-sabotaging to stay in the exact same place we've always been. And then at the end of the year, we say, here's a perfect example. I'll give you a really small, like funny kind of context to it. How many times have you heard somebody say, my reel didn't take off, or my reel didn't work, or I posted a video and 2 people liked it, like it didn't do very well? It's like, okay, well, did you have a hook on the screen? No. Okay. Did you have a hook at all? No. Okay. Was it speaking to your actual audience? No. Did you use a trending audio? No. Okay. Was it within the time limit that reels should be? No. Was the quality of the video good? No. Okay. And I can go through a checklist, and then it's like, do you really wonder why the reel didn't do well? But they'll sit there and they'll be like, I shouldn't post content. My content doesn't do well. It never performs. I couldn't hit 6 figures. I tried all of these things. I've done all of the things, but I couldn't hit 6 figures. It's like, here's your freaking checklist. You want to actually get serious about doing these things and get out of your own way. I think there's no reason why a business owner shouldn't hit 6 figures in their first year. Truly. True talk. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. I also think that if you're making 6 figures in your business, regardless of the amount of time, you are foolish. I'm going to use the word foolish to not have an assistant, because that's how we scale. To get from 100,000 to 200,000, we need support. We need help. That looks like an assistant. You buy back your time. Dan Martell's philosophy and theory, right, on life is we buy back our time. And that happens When you hit six figures, if you don't have someone helping you in your business, you wonder why you're struggling so hard to get to the next.
It's the business 5-second rule. Okay. It's our last
Ooh.
game. All right. You have 5 seconds to name 3 things.
Jeez.
I know you're going to come up with this right away. All right. You ready?
Yes.
3 must-have qualities of a successful entrepreneur.
Discipline, growth mindset. That's all I got. Discipline and a growth mindset. Give me longer than 5 seconds. I would have came up with more. That's all I had in 5 seconds. I would put patience. I put patience. Yeah, 100%. Discipline came out of my mouth like crazy.
That was our 5-second business rule.
That's hard because I think what happens is you're remembering how little time you have.
I know. So you're like, it's like that thing on the Ellen show when they give you a whatever, what was it called? Rapid something. And they had to say the first word that came to mind, press the button. I really don't realize how short 5 seconds is. All right. Last thing, I want you to drop some wisdom for our listeners, the true crew and the savages that will be listening to this. What's a belief or mindset shift that changed everything for you?
There's a lot. So I feel like the one that I'm guided to share is that fear never really goes away. I think a lot of people think that as you develop in your journey, and I can say this truthfully, I know for a fact that a lot of people look at my content or look at my business or look at my life and think she's fearless. Like, she's literally fearless, and nothing could be further from the truth. I have just as much fear as you do. I swear, and I promise you, I simply just decide to do it anyways. And so that biggest shift for me was that fear doesn't go away in this journey. And every time I'm at that level where I feel like I'm becoming the big fish in the pond again, and I'm ready to like step into some unknown territory to level up again and break that glass ceiling, it becomes even more. And it's like getting into these bigger rooms, I get anxiety. I'm an introvert. I have social anxiety. Fear is there every single day for me. It's just a matter of deciding that instead of letting it be in the driver's seat where it guides your decisions, we're going to put it in the passenger seat. And you can come along for this journey and you can come along for this ride. And I know you're going to be there. The amygdala, the back of our brain, is a very powerful part of our brain that's literally responsible for sensing fear. It's going to tell me that there's a threat. It's going to tell me that something's uncomfortable. It's going to tell me that something's scary and unknown. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But when we have the awareness of, hey, I'm feeling fear, I'm scared of this thing, but we have the conscious ability to do it anyways and to put fear to the side and decide to do it anyways. That was probably the most powerful mindset shift that I've been able to make. Instead of allowing it to guide my decisions, and it's like, oh, that's scary, that person's scary, that opportunity I'm not worthy of, to ask this person to come on my show, they might say no, all of it. There's a million ways that fear shows up and it stops us from taking action. But being able to say, hey, I see you. I know you're there. I can feel you. Oh, I just got butterflies in my stomach. Oh, you're here. You're there. Guess what? I'm going to do this anyways. So you can come along for this journey with me or not, but I'm still going. And once you're able to really understand that, I started to actually make some serious moves and start to really create that ripple effect. Because truthfully, I believe it to my core. Everyone is worthy of success. There's nothing that different about me or you or anyone else that's listening to this other than I have the courage to do it. I have the courage to get out of my own way and take the chances that 99% of people will never take. And they'll sit there and they'll make fun of me and they'll make fun of you because we're taking the courage and we're taking the chances. And so they want to rain on our parade instead of realizing that they have all of the ability to do the exact same thing that we're doing. They just need to get out of their own way.
Amen. Amen. What an absolute honor and such a privilege to get this hour with you, to be able to talk to you and hear everything that you have to share and all of your wisdom. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. It really means a lot. I have one final question for you that will officially brings you into the true crew. If you could have a theme song when you walk into a room, what would it be?
It's a bias for me to answer this because I have a theme song when I walk on a stage. As a keynote speaker, I have a theme song. It's Freedom from Beyonce, and it's specifically the part of the chorus where she says, I break chains all by myself, and it's like, freedom. That's my song.
I love it.
Now you're gonna want to go listen to it. Fast forward it right to the chorus where she says, I break chains all by myself. That's the part.
Oh, I love it. Cassandra, thank you so, so much. I really, really appreciate everything. And
Yeah.
guys, I'm going to put her Instagram and all of her information in the show notes in the description. So make sure you go follow, go check out the Business Savage podcast. It's always such a wealth of knowledge that she speaks and preaches. And just give all the good vibes for baby boy to be coming into the world. I'm so excited for you guys.
Thank you. Such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.